The Suzuki Vitara EV, it's just been revealed, and you know, it's okay, it's not too bad. It's basically made by Toyota, who obviously owns Suzuki. It has lithium iron phosphate batteries, not a whole lot of range, but this could be a decent car. Here are the details of the new Suzuki Vitara, which I believe will also span a Toyota version of the same vehicle. Hello my friends, welcome to the channel, great to have you with us. The Sydney EV show, it's on this weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll be there all 3 days. We'd love to see you there. I'll put a link in the description for free tickets and a promotion code. You can use that to get yourself free tickets. It's going to be fantastic. Can't wait. Suzuki Vitara. All right. What are the details here? Well, unfortunately, it's not coming until 2026. So, yeah, it's still a fair way away. You know, probably a year and a half away. Some of the parts in the car you can see have been taken directly from the Toyota bZ4X. But it's not a similar size to the Toyota bZ4X. It's much, much smaller. It's actually a more similar size to the MG4. So the MG4 hatchback, it's similar in size to that vehicle. Now, it's a fair bit bigger than the existing Suzuki Vitara. It's not only a bit longer, about 20 millimeters longer, but because it has a shorter bonnet, and it has shorter overhangs, it actually has a lot more interior space. Still not a big car though. I mean, it's a relatively small car, obviously. Similar in size actually to the Volvo EX30. Very similar in size to that. Boot space, 306 liters. So yeah, a small boot. Not going to get a lot in a 306 liter boot, but that is still a bigger boot than a Toyota Corolla. The Toyota Corolla's boot is about 260 liters in size. But I mean, to give you some context, very, very small. Tesla Model Y boot, for example, is close to 800 liters. Xpeng G6 boot space is around 570 liters. The new Zeekr 7X boot space, that is around about 620 liters. So that gives you some context on here, the size of different vehicles. BYD Atto 3 is a bit bigger than this vehicle, about 10% bigger. That kind of sorts things out. So what do we know about this vehicle? Well, there's a few different options in terms of motors. There's also front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. There's two different battery pack options. So let's get straight to what the options are. But first, the actual official size is 4,275 millimeters long and 1,800 millimeters wide. So the front-wheel drive model of this vehicle has a 106 kilowatt motor, so that's about 130 horsepower and 189 newton meters of torque. I think that's extremely underpowered. This is not a light car. This car weighs 1.8 tons. So power to weight would be exceptionally low. And I think you're not going to get that kind of confidence you get from driving an electric car, being able to get into lanes quickly, be able to accelerate quickly when you need to. I do not recommend that car to anyone whatsoever at all, because that to me, 106 kilowatt for a car weighing, you know, more than 1,800 kilograms. It's just not enough power for that size of car. But you don't have to get that option. There is another version with a more powerful motor, which is fine. It's got 128 kilowatt and 189 newton meters. And that is the bigger battery pack option. So if you get the bigger battery, you get that more powerful motor. If you get the smaller battery, you get the less, well, what I think is the not powerful enough motor. So what motor sizes are there? There's a 61 kilowatt hour battery. That's the longer range version. That's going to get about 400 kilometers of range. And the smaller battery pack, which is a 49 kilowatt hour battery, would probably get closer to around 300 kilometers of range. So about 200 miles of range for the smaller battery and approximately 230 miles of range for that bigger battery pack, 60 kilowatt hour pack. Now, obviously, the battery pack is the same size as the battery in the BYD Atto 3. And the BYD Atto 3 is a bigger car and it gets more range than that. It gets 450 kilometers of range. Tesla Model Y also has a similar battery and it gets around 455 kilometers of range. So the Vitara might get more range than that, but that's what I've heard from publications in the UK. They're aiming for 400 kilometers of WLTP range. It might be closer to 430, 440, something like that. Decent amount of range for that longer range battery pack. But of course, the 49 kilowatt hour battery with that pretty anemically powered motor, front wheel motor, it's going to get probably closer to just over 300 kilometers of range. But there is an all-wheel drive version as well. Now, the all-wheel drive version comes with obviously a front motor and a rear motor, for a total power output of 135 kilowatt and 300 newton meters of torque. So it is the least powerful all-wheel drive vehicle that's on sale anywhere, or will be on sale, I believe, in Australia, for example, and probably in America as well. 135 kilowatt, that's about 175 horsepower. So two motors combined only producing 175 horsepower. It's kind of odd, but it does have a fair bit of torque, 300 newton meters of torque. Anyhow, that option will come, I believe, with the longer range 60 kilowatt hour lithium iron phosphate battery pack. Would probably get a bit less range because it's got that extra motor, so it's heavier. So probably around 400 kilometers of WLTP range, so about 270 miles. Now, how heavy is this car? How heavy are these cars? To give you some context, how you can compare them to other vehicles, etc., etc. The Tesla Model 3 weighs about 1,800 kilograms, or a bit less than that, about 1,750 kilograms. So about 3,600 pounds. So this weighs 1,700 kilograms with the front-wheel drive motor, and that's the smaller motor and the smaller battery, the 50 kilowatt battery. Now, if you get it with the bigger battery pack, it weighs 1,800 kilograms. All-wheel drive, different. Small battery with all-wheel drive, 1,860 kilograms to 1,900 kilograms. Actually, sorry, the all-wheel drive only comes with the bigger battery pack. So it's about 1,900 kilos, which makes it actually a similar weight to a Tesla Model Y, which is a much bigger car. So it really shows you Tesla's engineering is incredibly impressive that they can make the Model Y so light for the size of car that it actually is. Now, if you're wondering, is this similar to the actual Suzuki eVitara? It's not. It's a completely different car. This is actually a proper electric car. It's a different size, different dimensions, different everything. Everything's different to the Suzuki eVitara. So it just shares the name for some reason. It's actually a completely different vehicle. Now, apparently these will be manufactured in both China and India, and maybe even Japan as well. So different markets will get different, probably slightly different versions of this car. But apparently there will be a Toyota version of this vehicle as well, and Toyota will simply rebadge the same car. So I don't know what it's going to be called, the Toyota version of the car, but I mean, it's good to see Toyota coming up with a different EV, which could be a good option. Now, keep in mind that these figures are for 2026. Will this car be competitive on the market in 2026 with that range? Probably not, to be honest. There's quite a few more advanced battery packs coming to EVs. They're already in China and a lot of different cars. I've reported on those. And the cars are really improving fast. Charging speeds, energy density of batteries is improving. I think by 2026, this would be, maybe not obsolete, but it will definitely be considered to be kind of old technology. And that said, it's still a good EV. It's still going to be great to get people out of internal combustion into EVs. That's fantastic. But yeah, in terms of competitiveness versus Chinese rivals versus what Tesla's going to be having at that time, probably won't be all that competitive. But anyway, decent looking car. I like it. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.